All right, we are live. What is up, everyone, and welcome to the Random Encounter Podcast, episode 132. I'm your host, James, and I'm joined by the Dress for Your Master, the dominant himself, Brian,
Hello.
and the fanboy himself, Mr. Phaneckswhy.
What's up? What's up?
We got not a lot to talk about because it's been, I don't know, for some reason, like news has been like trickling, and I guess it's that calm before the storm because we're heading into that summer kind of game news like special, right? That E3 summer where we get a lot of good summer news, hopefully good summer news this time around because it's gonna be very interesting because we also got the Nintendo Switch 2 coming out in about less than 2 weeks now, or yeah, about less than 2 weeks now. We have the
Mhm.
Nintendo Switch 2 coming, so we'll see. We'll have more announcements on that. But as always, before we begin, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Follow over on Twitch. For those of you who are on the vertical stream, I do know the canvas is way out of whack. I gotta fix it up because shout out to Fan. Got a 4K monitor and did not realize the canvas would mess up like that as well. So I gotta redo that. So while I'm doing that, we're gonna go ahead and start talking about what we've been playing. I'm gonna go ahead and pass it over to Bryant to go ahead and lead us off.
Okay, yeah. So today I just finally said I'm gonna do this, and I finally finished Lunar Silver Star Story Complete.
Yes,
I'm really
yes.
irritated because I missed one trophy out of the 20. I think there's 24 for each game, and then like the platinums, I think there's 50 altogether, and I want to say like there's like 12 for one, 12 for the other, and then the platinum's 25. So it's like there's 50 altogether. I don't know. I'm bad at math, but it's like an equal number in both, and then you pop the platinum for the last one. Um and yeah, it's really a great game, and it's just what I really like about it is it's just very simple and very traditional. The story is pretty much as old as time, just very okay. You have your mage, you have your warrior, you have your priest. It's just very traditional in the RPG sense, and the story is just very whimsical, and the music's really nice, and the dialogue is really good. Some of the all of the townspeople have stuff to say. In any event that happens, you can pretty much go to another town and you can talk to townspeople, and they'll have a reaction to something that just happened in the world.
Mhm.
And I find it a bit, I find it a bit overwhelming sometimes because it's like you really want to, excuse me, you really want to go and see everything that all the people have to say, because you can tell a lot of work went into um, making the world feel alive and making the world seem dynamic, and that the townspeople have interesting things to say. And the game does have very good dialogue. It's very funny at times, and it's oddly kind of modern. There's like references to movies that came out in the 90s, and kind of like not, I don't know if what I'd say like puns, but just kind of like ways of that we speak that you can tell kind of came out when they did the localization from Japan to America. And that was actually one of the things that was praised that Working Designs did with the translation when it came to America, was that it was written very
Yeah.
modern and not traditional. It was very just kind of outrageous in a lot of ways. For good, it was good outrageous. Some of the other changes that Working Designs did, namely the difficulty, is thankfully changed from what it was when Lunar came out on PS1 back in, I want to say it was like 98 or 99.
Mhm.
The difficulty was absolutely brutal in the PS1 version of the game. And I remember when I was a kid and I was playing it, I just was like, people actually finish this? It just kind of overwhelmed me, and it was just really frustrating because you get into the first mob of trash enemies in the first dungeon, and they can wipe you out pretty easily. And then it's like, okay, well, now I'm going to use all of my healing items, all of my MP restoring items, and okay, now I have nothing left, and here comes the next batch for me to get my ass kicked. And so they brought the difficulty back down to what it should have been. And Working Designs, I guess, from what I've heard, did that a lot with the games they brought over, is that they messed with the difficulty to make them more difficult for some reason. So I finished it, and I had a really nice time throughout it. The end game was really fun. It was a little, it went on a little long as far as the last castle you're in. There's lots of floors, lots of trash enemies you have to go through. But probably the best addition of the game is the ability to fast forward your battles. so you can like up the speed by up to 3 times. And when you do the battles at 3 times and you try to go back down to 1 time, you wonder
Yeah.
how anybody can play this at 1 time because it is so slow. James, you played 2, so I think you
Yeah.
might know what I'm talking about.
Two's
Like
exact
the
same thing. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So you kind of just like walk, 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 hit, walk, 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 and then next
Yeah.
guy, Althena, lend me your power. Dit, 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 dit. Next attack, and then if you fast forward, it's like dit, 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 hit, dit, 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 hit, and it's a lot faster and a lot more manageable uh to grind and all the rest. So yeah, I'm gonna eventually get into Lunar 2. I'm probably gonna just be really um uh, masochistic and go back and get that last trophy that I missed, even though it's going to mean I have to do a whole playthrough again. I
Yeah.
finished it in 43 hours, but that was with a lot of talking to the characters, like I mentioned. So I think if I just mainline it and just maybe do a little bit of grinding to keep myself competitive, I think I could probably do it in half the time, maybe. Especially now that I know where I'm going, and I'll just follow a walkthrough to make sure I get that trophy because I can't let that abide. But there's just so much other stuff to play, including Expedition 33, which that's going to be the next game I finish because the internet is abuzz with spoilers, and I'd be so pissed if I get spoiled on that game. So I'm just going to go back to mainlining that starting tonight and the rest of my weekend. I need to finish it because I guess there aren't a lot of missables in it, missable trophies. I think there's like maybe a couple, but it takes a lot to miss them, I guess. So I'm gonna go back and finish that main line, and then I'll go back and clean up the areas that are like the danger areas and everything. And yeah, hopefully next podcast that'll be our kind of kiss goodbye for the week after that for when the Switch 2 comes out. We'll have to see. That's what
Yeah.
I've been playing.
Yeah, I haven't. I'm with you on that. I haven't touched the Expedition 33. Like this whole week, it's been light on gaming. Just before the podcast, we're mentioning I've just been on a One Piece type of ride where I've just been trying to catch up on One Piece. I got some figures in which I was showing off earlier. I got this nice little Zoro figure. It's pretty dope. Zoro slowly became my favorite character in One Piece. And then of course I got Luffy here, which is pretty cool too. But there is a game actually I've been playing, and it is actually like I've been hooked. Well, actually, technically multiple games. So I semi lied, right? I said I haven't played any games, but I've technically played multiple games under one game, and that is the Capcom Fighting Collection 2. Been playing Power Stone 1, beat all of that in the arcade mode with what's his name? Shoot, Lang Wang, I think is his name. Um, I beat all that with him, who's pretty cool because basically, like when you collect all the stones, he basically turns Super Saiyan, and he has a giant like Spirit Bomb attack, which is kind of cool. And he just throws this. So playing all playing like the story mode or the arcade mode, I guess whatever you want to call it, with him.
Isn't Power Stone great?
It is. It's amazing. Like I don't know. I feel like they're both so good. Like Power Stone 1 and 2 feel like games that one doesn't really feel better than two to an extent, and two, because they're different, right? Two brings in the four-player like matchup, where one is just one-on-one it, but they're just so fun. But I was playing both of those, and I was playing Project Justice because I've never played Rival Schools at all, and I got hooked. Like we were out, me and my wife, we were out, and she was kind of like looking around, like shopping, and I was like, you know what, let me pull out the Switch and start playing. And I was like just playing Project Justice nonstop, and like my wife's like, when I lost, my wife's like, oh, did you lose? I was like, yeah, and I was just like nonstop playing, and that game is amazing. What made me want to play Project Justice mainly is I didn't know who Kyosuke was in Capcom versus SNK 2. He's a character you can play as. I was like, who is this guy? He looks dope. And in the art book, which I actually have here, he's one of the main guys that's there. Like literally, he's the first fighter in this comic book. I said art book. I meant comic book. Let me show you that real quick. But he's like the main guy. He's just dope. He's basically that nerdy rival guy that's in that's in anime. But anyways, he's a cool character. Like I was using him. I like his fighting style. And yeah, the game Project Justice is really good. If you haven't played it, play it. It's fun. It's kind of like Tekken, except that I do think Tekken is better. But this has a cool like story, and I feel like Project Justice would be a good anime with what it's trying to do. So if you ever get a chance, definitely try it out. and you'll see what I'm talking about because it feels just like what's that there's that anime that's about schools, God of High School. Like it
There's a lot of
literally.
anime about high schools,
That's
James.
true. That is true. I'm thinking of a fighting anime
This is a
though.
fighting one.
Yeah, this is literally like God of High School is literally a fighting anime about people fighting in school, and that's literally what Project Justice is, aka rival schools, right? That's the whole thing about it. So
I'm so
that,
far into God of High School, like
mhm,
the manga.
yeah,
I'm behind, but I'm way past like the anime. Way.
yeah. They haven't done a new season in the anime, right? It's just the only first season, and that's it.
Just one, yeah.
Yeah, and which is weird because that was what 4 years ago, 5 years ago, something like that.
Mm.
It was quite some time, and I saw that they're redoing also. What's the other one that was a manhwa that like people really like? It was a webtoon.
Solo leveling,
No, not Solo Leveling.
because that's a webtoon. That's it.
No, it wasn't that. It was hmm, what's it called?
You describe it.
Something about Tower.
Oh, Tower of God.
Okay, Tower of God. That's what it is. Okay, yeah, that
Yeah.
one. They're redoing the first season because I guess they messed up or something. I guess
The art style doesn't line up with the second season, so I think they're
oh,
probably just redoing it to make it look better.
okay. Yeah, interesting. But yeah, Project Justice, awesome. Highly recommend playing that in the Capcom Fighting Collection.
It's so
Fan.
annoying they didn't bring over
Mhm.
rival schools too. I wish they would have brought over rival
Yeah,
schools
that
with that
was
collection.
weird. Yeah, I noticed that. Like, why would they leave out rival schools? Because there's
Project
a
Justice is the sequel to Rival Schools.
Right, that's
not.
what I'm saying. Like they should have put the original in.
Oh, was it? I thought Project Justice was the original, and Rival Schools
No, if
is
you
the
play the
sequel.
story
No, Rival
mode,
Schools is a PS1 game.
Oh,
Rival
okay.
Schools is the first one. Project Justice is the second one. Because when you play the like story in Project Justice,
Yeah.
they talk about how you beat the boss from the previous game.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so I
Yeah, I
must
was
have
playing it
lost
too.
that. You were playing it too? Okay, I
Yeah,
must
I was
have.
playing it too, and I got so pissed.
Was that in the beginning of the game?
Yeah.
So
Like you
that's
have to listen,
why
you have to read the story. Yeah.
in the beginning I did skip the story, and then like I think after I did my first fight, that's when I started reading everything. I was like, oh, this story's kind of interesting. So go ahead. So you got so pissed? Why?
Well, because I got to the final boss,
The
right? I
the
got to
the long haired dude
the
with the
long haired dude
sword.
with the two swords.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I was playing it, and then my kids kept coming in, distracting me, and I kept losing. And then my wife would come in and distract me, and I kept losing. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna close the door. Like, y'all gotta stop distracting me when I'm trying to beat this guy. And like, it took me so long to beat him. Like probably like a good like 7, 8 tries. And I was playing the sports school. Like I had the
Okay.
baseball player, the volleyball, the soccer
Okay.
player. That was the school that I was playing.
See, I was doing just
The
the main
You're doing the
character,
regular, the main line.
Batsu.
Yeah,
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 Batsuko, Kyosuke, and I forgot what the girl's
yeah.
name is.
She's basically like Sakura from Street Fighter, pretty much almost.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
one with the
Well,
backpack. Yeah,
yeah, I was gonna say, what isn't there is a Sakura though well, Sakura is from Rival Schools,
she
and they
is
added
in
her
it.
into Street
Yeah,
Fighter.
technically she is part of the rival school, Justice School lore.
Yeah,
Because
because
I think she's in the first game.
yeah, I was gonna say, I think that's where she is from, and then they added her in the in Street Fighter Alpha as Ryu's what's it called, like fan. She was
Yeah,
Ryu's fan and learn it, which is kind of cool. Like Capcom is pretty awesome with that, where they have like overlap. Like in Capcom versus SNK 2, I don't know if you guys realize, but in the desert level, I forget what his name, but the guy who wears the red jacket from Power Stone, the kind of like the
Falcon.
yeah, Falcon, there we go, that was his name. He's in that level in the background, which is kind of cool. Kind of sucks that none of the Power Stone characters actually made it into that game, but he's in there, which is kind of cool in that extent.
Something that it's kind of interesting is that when I was a kid, I remember I loved Power Stone 2. And Power Stone 2 actually I remember was better received than Power Stone 1.
Yeah.
But playing it now as an adult, I actually think I prefer 1 because 2, while it's cool that
Mhm.
it's 4-player and everything, I feel like the damage isn't as like it kind of just feels like you're hitting people with paper,
Yeah.
like pieces of paper, as opposed to in Power Stone 1, like you just annihilate people. And I think that kind of takes away some of it, that you're just kind of like doing chip damage for, like 10 minutes, because you're going from like this part of the stage to this part of the stage to this part of the stage.
Yeah.
So the gameplay is varied, which is really cool, but I think I prefer Power Stone 1.
Yeah. I would agree, honestly. Like that's what I was getting at. Like why I feel that 4 is still or 4. 2 is good because of this 4-player, like, mechanic. I was having more fun with 1 than 2 for sure. And I will revisit it because it doesn't get old. It's fun, and I do like it because the fights are faster, but they're still harder. Like, I died plenty of times, especially with the final boss there, and I had to keep redoing it o over and over again, which is
It'd be a good
something
stream.
it would be, like, honestly, I was thinking of playing that yesterday, but I needed to test the GPU again. So I was like, no, I gotta test this GPU. But I still been playing it. Like I haven't taken it out of my Switch, and that's all I've been playing because it's fun.
Okay.
I love it. What
Yeah, I
else?
was playing
Mhm.
Ghost of Tsushima since I got the new monitor,
Oh, nice.
and because I needed to see the HDR,
Hmm.
and I got the new capture card, so now my variable refresh rate works.
Nice.
Like all of
What
that
kind of
works
monitor did
now.
you buy?
So I got the HP Omen Transcend 31.5 inch.
Okay. And it's
It's a
OLED?
it's a QD OLED.
Okay, cool.
Um, so I've got that set up, and like I was trying to figure out how to get everything working, and I finally got everything working, and I figured out what happened to HDR, like because I didn't like HDR in Windows,
Hmm.
but you can manually turn on HDR on the monitor settings, but you have to do it in professional mode. You can't do it in gaming mode,
Mm.
which I guess that makes sense because they want to do it for like content creation and stuff like that. But it's whatever. But I was playing Ghost of Tsushima, and that game just looks freaking gorgeous with everything running. Uh,
Mm.
up with through the PS5, and then I was playing Jedi Survivor, um, with everything turned on. I wanted to like get ray tracing turned on, like all of that, just to see how beautiful the game looks, and play that for a while. But I haven't touched Expedition 33 this week at all. It made me playing all the other stuff.
Well, good. Then we don't have to talk spoilers.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still in the same spot like as I was last time, so haven't
Same
really progressed much.
same here. What about you, Ash? What you been playing?
Besides with this cat, honestly, just Expedition 33. I'm at the part where you gotta go hunt down the I think they're their names that are the axons to get the materials to get rid of the barrier or something like that. So, and I went to the one that does all the music stuff, or not all the music stuff, but like when she dances and stuff, and you look at her, you tend to like
You might be ahead of
jam.
me.
Really? I am.
Yeah.
I thought you were in Act 3 or something.
No, I'm just after getting the last main character.
Oh wow! I didn't really thought that was.
Yeah, so
I was
so tread
Yeah,
tread lightly, please.
what's his
oh yeah,
name again?
I'll
That
just stop there then.
Gestural, right?
Yeah.
No,
Monaco's
he's not a Gestural. Monaco's not a
well,
Gestural, I don't think.
Yeah, he is.
yeah, he's a Jextral.
Is he?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
he's
yeah.
Noko's dad.
Yeah, Versal had to teach him how to speak English.
How do you speak English?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I remember they're talking about how like after when you first meet him, like Noko was talking about how he was his dad. So I'm like, oh, he's a Gestural.
Hmm. Yeah, so you guys are definitely both of you are way ahead of me because, like I said,
I'm
I'm still at the end of or the end of Act 1, right? The beginning of
Oh,
Act 2. And I
the
like I said,
beginning of Act
when
2.
I mean
wow.
I haven't played, I have not played Expedition 33
Dude,
Yeah,
at
I'm not
all.
that
I
much further ahead
legit
of you,
thought I was
man.
like in
Like
last
once you
place
get
compared to you
past
guys.
one stage,
Mhm.
like after the battlefield level is when you go to Monaco Station, and then that's when you get the Gestural guy. So you're not that far. You're not that far behind me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm like right after that.
Yeah, like a
Okay.
good. I may be like a good hour, 2 hours ahead of you.
I definitely like his character a lot though. He's
Who, Monaco?
yeah, he's definitely
Yeah, he's
interesting. I
funny.
can tell you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
You
I was spending most of my time doing the platforming,
Oh,
the gestural beaches.
Oh
yeah.
yes. Yeah, those are always fun.
I've gotten two of them. The one I haven't got yet was the volleyball one where you have to like knock the freaking characters back.
I feel like that's I think that's a bit jank.
But there's two platforming ones. One where you run across the logs. We're just kind of like almost horizontal, but then the one I'm on right now is you go vertical, you go straight up. So it's all about jumping and
Yeah.
running up.
Yeah, I beat that one. That was so fun.
That took
It
forever.
was a bit of it was a bit of a troll too sometimes, because especially when there was a certain point where they had a gestural statue pointing at something, and then you turn around and you're like, oh no, man, it was great. It's to me, I just love everything about this game because I feel like they're just
It's
nodding at everything. They're just having fun, you know.
it's like that game where you have to climb up things.
Yeah, only
Isn't
up.
it called Way Up or something? Oh,
Only
Yeah.
up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's also like when I saw that I was like, oh, it's a nod to Only Up, which is kind of cool. Like we mentioned plenty of times on this podcast. We like when other games kind of like nod to other games, especially when they're from different companies, which is always kind of cool. Right? Like when the creators of Astrobot literally said Nintendo when they're a PlayStation company. That's something that I would never thought I would have heard in my lifetime, but they gave props to where it's due, right? And in this case, I do like what this game does. I remember Brian sending me that, was it a tweet or was it an article where somebody says that they played through Expedition 33 and they can safely say that the inspiration for this game definitely comes from Lost Odyssey. And I've said it from the
Yeah,
get-go.
I sent you that in Discord.
Yeah. I was like, the minute I saw the trailer, it's like Lost Odyssey. Lost Odyssey is, if you haven't played it, it's one of the greatest RPGs that's come out in the last, 20 years, I guess it would be. And yeah, last 20 years. Amazing, amazing RPG. Stuck on the Xbox 360. I guess if you have a Series X, you can buy it. It does go on sale for like $2, $3 every now and then. So it's well worth it. And yeah, I would highly recommend that game. You can also emulate it as well. It does emulate pretty good on Xenia, I believe it is Xenia 360, which is the
yeah,
360
Xenia.
version.
I don't know. I don't know if they fix a certain thing with that
Mhm.
because I heard that like at a certain part, it kind of when you emulate the game, it kind of soft locks you. But that's
Mhm.
been like several months ago. I don't know if they already fixed that by now.
Yeah, I thought that was fixed a while back. Because I remember seeing that too. Like, that was the same issue that Infinite Undiscovery has. There's a part in the game that will soft lock you as well, where
Yeah,
it won't play the next like cutscene, and you're just stuck in the room and you
exactly.
can't do anything like that, which
Yeah.
kind of sucks. Like those games literally need to be ported to PC or something else because they're such good game. Well, Infinite Undiscovery is debatable, which I get it. Like it definitely wasn't the best game, but in my opinion, it's probably one of Tri-Ace's better recent games, better than Star Ocean. What's the latest one? I completely forgot the name of the one that just came out.
Second Story.
No, not Second Story. Second Story is really good. uh Shoot, the one that just the newest Star Ocean, not Second Story because that was a remake,
Oh,
but
I
the
think I meant
newest one.
newest release.
Yeah. I don't know, I can't
Um,
remember
The
the name.
divine something.
The Divine Force.
Yeah, the Divine, yeah, it's Divine Force, and then there's the other one. No, Divine Force, was that the recent one?
I mean, that's the one I have on my. I think that was re-released on PS5.
Okay, yeah, so there's that one. And there's the one that came up before that, which wasn't also well received. Actually, the last three Star Ocean games, that I think about it, because you had that one that was PS4, which I can't remember the name of that one either. And then you had the one that was on Xbox 360, which for whatever reason, I think it was Last Hope.
I like that one.
Yeah, the one on 360.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then you will love Infinite Undiscovery, because I think Infinite Undiscovery is a better game overall. The fighting mechanics is pretty awesome. It's a lot different. And just everything they did about the game is like they went all in. I think it's Tri-Ace's probably best game in recent years, in my opinion. So I highly recommend playing Infinite Undiscovery if you can. Well worth it. Pretty decent story. I like the story, and like every other Tri-Ace game, the end game is pretty fun because they have this like arena where you fight other Tri-Ace properties. So you fight like Silmeria, Lenith, Valkyrie. You fight what else? Some Star Ocean bosses and enemies and so forth. So really, really cool.
Okay.
All right, let's go ahead and start talking about some of the smaller news. We spent some time talking about what we've been playing. But starting off with Randy Pitchford, the head of Borderlands 4, made a statement that a lot of people aren't happy with. And that is basically talking about games and $80 price tag where he says that, if you can't afford $80, then well, deal with it. You'll figure out a way to come up with $80. And while I feel like what he says, like I don't know if it was just, well, I know it was a tweet that he did and stuff, but I think the context of it definitely, how can I put it? I'm not siding with what he said, but at the same time, I do think that people need to remember that video game is a luxury, right? Playing games is a luxury. If you can't afford $80, and I do feel that, then definitely money should be spent elsewhere, right? Which is understandable. And I think you should also remember that, games that are not Nintendo usually go on sale. So you can always catch it later on while it's on sale. That being said, I also understand that, you shouldn't be a douchebag about things like that. Like, I think you should always be mindful of how you say things, regardless of what the intent is. And regardless if you're right or wrong, you should always still be mindful of how you say things. But I think everybody here on the podcast, we've talked about that it makes sense for games to be $80. We were gonna hit $80 sooner rather than later. It's just Nintendo just jumped in and is like, "Hey, Mario Kart World, $80," and everybody's like, "Okay, I guess it's safe to do $80 games." But what do you guys think about the way Randy Pitchford said it himself? Like, do you feel that he could have been nicer about those things, or you can be like, you say what you gotta say and that's it?
He shouldn't have just said anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think he said it just so he can get more eyes on his new Borderlands game coming out. I think
Yeah.
that's the main reason why he said it.
I mean,
Mm,
honestly, so we didn't talk about this on the podcast, but I was talking about it with somebody, and I didn't even know this was a thing. I think what I should be on, and if anything, I see this as a kind of like a, what do you call it? Like to make us look at the other direction, where the real problem is actually to the left and not the right, is that the Borderlands terms and condition, apparently, if you read it, it kind of says that if you talk bad about the game, that they can ban you from playing the game. Like, this was a
Jesus.
whole thing basically on the Borderlands, like, subreddit. And I was like, "Really? That's a thing?" Like, I didn't think, but apparently, yeah, they're not allowing you to, like, talk bad about the game, that, they reserve the right to kinda do whatever they want with your account if you talk bad about the game. And apparently that's just 2K in general, that's part of their legal rights. I'm like, "Okay." Like, their terms and conditions, I
Mm.
mean. But I feel like that's the biggest issue, which is a lot of people are not talking about it because apparently if you do talk about it, that becomes a thing. But it's all over like the Borderlands Reddit that this is a huge issue coming out. Brian, looks like you got
I
something to say.
mean, yeah, I mean, like if it's in the terms conditions, it would cause such a hellstorm
Yeah.
if they actually enforce something like that. Like maybe it's just there to, I don't know, intimidate or chill speech or whatever. But like, if they ever did something like that, oh my god, there would be hell to pay.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
think they'd actually do it for real.
yeah, that would be a weird thing because if they actually did it, that is kind of messed up. And I do feel that more people would just be like, "Nah, screw it. Like, we're not gonna buy your game," and that's it.
Right.
Because I'm at that point, like, I don't know about you guys. Is anybody here planning on picking up Borderlands 4? I'm not.
I don't know. I've
I
never
I
gotten
barely
into
played
one.
Borderlands 1.
I tried 3 to see what the game was about. Like I had a fun time with 2. 2 was
Mhm,
2 Borderlands 2 was actually like the best Borderlands. I mean, of course, everyone would say that.
mhm.
But like when I tried 3 and in the one before that, I think it was called Tiny Tina's Wonderland or some crap
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
Tiny Tina
I feel like
Wonderland. Yeah.
I think that came
yeah,
out
I feel like
after.
it was after or that was before.
No,
Hey,
I think it was after.
actually, exactly after. Yeah, it was. It didn't really. It felt like just another RPG shooter. It didn't like draw out anything unique. Say, I feel like Borderlands 2 was at its peak, and then it went for a straight downhill. And I'm surprised that they were able to make sequels and all that kind of stuff. Or if anything, I think I think they made that one game called I think it was called Borderlands the pre-sequel or something like that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Apparently that was received well, mainly because a lot of people love Handsome Jack as like the antagonist in
Yeah,
Borderlands 2. So they want to reuse him and to tell like the lore and like how everything like happened and
that was the
stuff.
one on the moon,
But
right?
like I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that I did play that. I played that with my kids, and it was kind of fun. We didn't beat it, but it was fun nonetheless. because I played 1, played a little bit of 2, and then I played that one. But
Yeah,
yeah.
two was something that one should have been. So people like to praise one a bit because like the lore and story for it was kind of cool and stuff.
Mhm.
But the gameplay aspect compared to two was like night and day difference and stuff. And of course, when you're making a sequel, you need to improve upon what you already have, which makes sense. But like the Borderlands games these days. I don't know, man. I kind of like lost my love for it ever since two, I guess. And like, I gave three a
Mhm.
shot. Didn't like really give me the same feeling, and I don't really think four is gonna do well either. So
Yeah.
I
yeah,
think that 2 was a product of its time. Like it came out in 10 or 11, I want to say, and at the time like it was just so like that concept was just so new and fresh on 360 and the graphics were cool, they were cel shaded. There's just kind of this vibe about it and it was multiplayer. It was very 2010, 2011 coded for kind of what it was. And I
Yeah.
just feel like now there's so much competition in that space of like an RPG shooter. I mean, you have Destiny 2, which is arguably the best one out of anything. That's still pretty popular. And it's just, I think it's kind of overstayed its welcome. I think maybe they should have just ended it after 3, maybe, and then maybe moved on to something else. And then kind of just going back to what we were talking about before about Randy Pritchford or whatever. Um, it's just I think it's kind of similar. I think James, you were saying it that he is trying to be antagonistic, probably just to get clicks, to get buzz for his game. Or was that you, fan, that said that? I don't remember.
it was me.
Oh, it was you? Okay, yeah. So sorry. So
Yeah.
yeah. I just think that that's definitely part of it, and you just think like I don't know, a guy that is that wealthy that is about to bring this thing into the world that people are going to enjoy. Like you wouldn't want to like even if people are saying bad things about your game, it's like, you know what? I'm gonna give you guys what I think people want and what I'm passionate about. If you don't like it, if you don't like me, if you don't like the game, don't buy it, don't play it, and just keep the price out of the conversation. It's not relevant. And as you said, James, we've all discussed that the price point it's totally logical and it makes sense in a practical matter. So nobody here is arguing about the price of $80 or
Yeah.
whatever. And you're right, what you said before about if you can't spend $80 on a game, but you can spend $70 on a game, then you probably should be spending your money elsewhere, as you were saying. I just think that being antagonistic for antagonistic sakes and just be positive, just be like, hey, I'm bringing this out,
Mhm.
enjoy, and then just leave it at that. That's it.
Yeah. Man, I agree. Like, I don't, I also agree with what fans said. Like, he shouldn't have said anything, right? Just at that
Right.
point,
Like
I
Carter.
think like, yeah, you got to know when to speak up. Like, I get a lot of comments in my videos. There are, people be just being douchebags, and I'm just like, I can reply back to that, or I can just ignore it. And a lot of times I just
Just
ignore it,
ignore
just
it.
like whatever, And sometimes if they're trying to make fun, I'll kind of like dive into it and also make fun of it because it's kind of one of those things when you do that they're like, oh, okay, well, I guess what I'm trying to do is not working. But you just have to be like that, especially when you're on the internet. Unfortunately, you just got to take it and just ignore it. Let it be. We all know $80 is this thing. People are just gonna complain and complain, but it's where we're at. The issue I have with the whole $80 thing is I do know a lot of these companies that money's not really going to go to the developers. It's going to go to the CEOs and shareholders and whatnot. And the developers are not going to get that extra money that they should be getting paid. So, yeah, that is the one bad thing. Maybe except Nintendo. Like maybe Nintendo will actually pay their people, but we don't know how the new CEO really is going to be in terms when it comes to this. So, yeah. Let's go ahead and talk about the top selling games of April, which, funny enough, half of them are Xbox games. Starting off with number one, Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered is the number one game for April. Number two is Forza Horizon 5, coming all the way coming all the way up from 42 to number two, right? Because that released on PS5 as well. MLB The Show 25, number three. Lost okay, here we go. Minecraft number four, of course, because of the movie. I guess a lot of people already didn't own Minecraft, so they bought Minecraft, or maybe they bought it on other platforms that they didn't own it on. Who knows how that works? Assassin's Creed Shadows dropped down from number one to number five. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle was 118. in the month of March went all the way up to number 6 because of the PS5. Call of Duty Black Ops 6, another Xbox game, is now number 6 from a or I'm sorry, now number 7 from number 6, and then we had WWE 2K25, number 8, NBA 2K25, number 9, and PGA Tour 2K25, number 10. What this list tells me is there weren't that many good games that came out. No, I'm just kidding. But half of those games were Xbox games or Microsoft Studios games, which is kind of interesting, where Microsoft has slowly become, I don't know, I guess for that month they were the number one publisher out of publishing 5 of the 10 games, and then I guess the other you have 2K at 3 of the 10 games, and then Assassin's Creed and Minecraft being, oh no, I'm sorry, Assassin's Creed and MLB The Show being the only other 2 that were there. So I think it's kind of funny to see that Microsoft is just a publisher. Now, anytime we're going to talk about Microsoft and Xbox Studios, it's really just Xbox Studios. We're really not going to say much about the console anymore. Unless they do something crazy like an Xbox handheld, which probably will happen because there's been trailers. We do know, was it, shoot, what's it? Hellblade, the second one? I
Then
forgot
it
what it's called.
was
The newest one, yeah.
So then it goes, yeah. Okay.
is it Sacrifice?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Senua's Sacrifice, right? Or was it
The
something
first
else?
one's Senua's Saga, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let me look it up. I could be wrong.
Yeah, you might be right. Sacrifice. But that was just announced for PS5.
Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. That's what it's called.
Okay. So that one.
So the first one was called Sacrifice. Okay. Weird.
Okay.
Okay, I
Alright.
mixed it up.
Yeah, I don't know how we mix it up. So that's coming to PS5 soon. Gears of War is coming to PS5 soon. We know from a leak or from a rumor that Nate the Hate said, which I 100% anything he says is usually on the money. So if you ever see a tweet or anything referencing Nate the Hate, it's usually correct because he definitely knows people. We do know that Halo is apparently coming soon to both PlayStation and Nintendo Switch. Mainly the Master Chief Collection, right? That'll be coming soon. That's going to be interesting when that comes out. And yeah, like Xbox is just really, at this point, just a third party publisher that happens to have a console for now. Very interesting when it comes to that. Speaking of Xbox, there is a 10-year Witcher 3 anniversary Xbox controller that came out. I just put this on the notes just to have something to talk about because there wasn't many things to talk about there. Has anybody here played The Witcher 3? I know I've tried plenty of times to get into it. I just can't get into it. It's mainly the inventory management. I hate it.
I played a little bit, not much though.
Same here.
Yeah, I've only tried it when they released that like 4K patch on the for PC.
Oh yeah. That's what made me stop it because when they released that patch, it broke the Steam Deck version of it. So I was like, you know what, screw it. And they eventually fixed it with another patch that fixed that. But yeah, when they released that patch, I was like, yeah, no, I'll stop right there. What about you, Ash? Have you played Witcher 3?
Yeah, a good bit. I think when I first started the game, I was a bit overwhelmed on like all the stuff you could do in it. That was the first time that ever happened to me too, because I played other games, like MMOs, for example. But for Witcher, it was just like so many things that you can just do all at once at the beginning, which is insane. But I eventually got through the game, and the games are all fun. And I feel of a better time reading the books too, especially if you just want to know like the lore and story in the Witcher universe, which that's the source material anyway. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I sometimes want to revisit the game, but then I'm like, like I don't know, I just don't care much for it. I try to get into it. Witcher 3 is one of those games that's like Skyrim for me, where I just can't get into it. Again, you guys know that it's hard for me to get into Western RPGs. For whatever reason, I just can't get into it. Like Dragon Quest Inquisition is like one of the few, or Dragon
you mean?
Age. Yeah, Dragon Age Inquisition is one of the few games that I was able to get into that's like Western RPG. And I like the first Dragon Age as well. That was pretty fun. Dragon Age 2 was kind of, it was all right, I guess. And then Mass Effect, if you want to consider that a Western RPG, which it is, even though it has more shooter elements than anything, that's another one that I really obsessed over Mass Effect. This topic here is for Bryant. I know he was excited when this got announced. Stellar Blade sequel is in the works and coming soon, actually, probably in the next 2 years. We'll see the Celebrate sequel, which is actually kind of interesting. I assume they probably worked on that sequel right away, right after they finished the first game. And the PC port, of course, does come out June 11th, right? Yeah, Ju- it's June
I don't
11th,
remember
right?
the date.
I'm
I'm
positive
buying
it's
it
June
though. I
11th.
can't wait. Okay.
Yeah, they showed off some stuff of it. Like there's some new outfits that they have going on. They showed off the was it a Nikki collaboration, which is actually
hmm
pretty cool because it looks like it's supposed to
That's a
be
gotcha.
the gameplay of Nikki, but in I think that's how you pronounce it. Like I could be saying it wrong, but that gameplay is going to be inside Celebrate, which I think is pretty awesome. Going back to I like how when they add multiple genres into one game, it makes it kind of cool. So yeah, I'm excited for that. Like, I gotta play the first one first, but eventually when I get to it, I will go ahead and beat it, and I'm sure I will enjoy it because it reminds me a lot of Nier.
I hope you beat it before 2 comes out. I mean, it's coming out on PC because I remember that was your
Mhm.
excuse when it came out. You're like, I'm gonna play it when it comes on PC, and now
Yeah,
it's coming. So time to put up or shut up and play my game of the year 2024.
I
I
will.
He's
think
not
I
gonna
think that
play
was
it
me.
right
I think
away
that was
because
me
it's
because
coming out right after the Switch 2 is coming out.
That is true.
Like,
Time to put up or shut up.
I
It's
mean,
gonna.
wait, I thought that was me because James, don't you still have a PS5?
I do. I
yeah, but
just
he has a
Yeah, but he didn't
it's
buy
right
he
here.
didn't buy it though, I don't think.
I
He
didn't.
didn't buy
No.
Stellar Blade. Yeah, so I was like, I knew you're gonna probably want to play it on PC anyway,
Yeah.
especially with your new fancy
No, I
graphics
did.
card.
I did mention that I was gonna wait for the PC launch because I wanted to play it
Oh,
in portable. That was the thing.
oh, that's the main reason. But don't you have the whatchamacallit?
PS5.
No, the
Hmm.
thing.
What thing?
PlayStation Portable Q,
Oh,
the
Portal.
Q, whatever it
Yeah,
is.
I sold that a long time
Portal,
ago.
yeah.
I sold that
Oh, you
last year
sold it?
sometime. Yeah. I just
Steam Deck is
wasn't.
better than
Oh,
PS Portal anyway.
Yeah, like so when I had the Portal and I initially did my review, it worked perfect. 2 months later, after an update, it just sucked. Like I couldn't play
oh, for
Miles
real?
Morales. I couldn't play like I was playing Stranger of Paradise because that was added to like PlayStation Plus. I could not block any attack because it was that much latency out of nowhere, which was weird because I did all of Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man game, no problem. And that has like reaction commands in there for like counters. Had no issue with that. But then after that update, I couldn't play Miles Morales and I couldn't play Stranger of Paradise because it just was having a lot of latency, and then the video footage just wasn't as good as it was when I initially got it. So I was just like, you know what? Screw it. I'm not even gonna bother with it, and I just ended up selling it for pretty much the same price that I bought it for too, because they were hard to get at the time.
Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about getting it again, but at the same time, like I have what's it called? Like Chiaki, or I can get the official remote play on the ROG Ally. Like there's so many other ways to go ahead and remote play from my PS5. But not only that, like it's like my PS5 is just here, it's still boxed up. I haven't taken it out of the box. Like I said, I have it right here. You see this there? This is actually the
Yeah.
old
See it.
GPU there. I use it as a
It's so
table.
little.
Yeah, this was my son's old GPU. This was a RX 580, and I just have it right here, just sitting there as a prop, along with my lav mic that I do my videos with, and this bad boy that's waiting to be opened. Where's
Is that
it?
your Switch 2 glass?
Yeah, I was looking for the
Yeah.
name of it. Yeah, it says right
Oh
here in the
yeah,
back.
yeah. Thanks for the
Yeah,
reminder. I need to get one. I need to get one.
yeah. This one
I'm
was
oh wait,
like
I thought Zag is making one. I was gonna get that one.
they probably are. I get
Yeah.
Amfilm a lot because I actually like their stuff. I've used their stuff
Yeah, they're pretty
for
good.
like everything. So I was like, you
Yeah,
know what? I
I
saw
trust.
they came out with it, and I went ahead and got it. This one also has
I
like a
trust them
little
too.
like tool. I don't know if you can see it here to line it up easily. So like
Oh, nice.
sweet.
Yeah.
Because I hate
Just got to make sure there's no dust.
yeah, that's always the hard part. It's like no dust. I think that's harder than lining it up, in my opinion.
I have an air mattress blower. Like
Mhm.
you plug it into an air mattress and it blows up. It's like a gun, and I just blow the crap out of something when I put a screen shield on. And
Yeah.
usually it's pretty good. It'll be a pretty clean install.
I should try that because I have one of those as well.
Yeah. Also, I think just a bit of news before we move on as well. Talking about game announcements is the DLC for Sea of Stars: Throes of the Watchmaker came out
Yes.
yesterday or the day before, and really looking forward to that. Especially after I just got done playing Lunar, it's like, oh great, can't wait to go on to my next 2D RPG and ignore Expedition 33. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely looking forward to going through that. It looks incredible. The reviews have been great, and
Yeah.
Sea of Stars was definitely. Did it come out in
I think it
23?
was
I want to
23.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely in my top games of
Mhm.
2023. It's a really special game.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if that was my game of the year or not in 2023. I don't remember what else came out that
You
year.
never finished it, right?
I didn't.
You had to
I'm at the
finish it.
end. I'm at the end. I just I can go ahead and finish it like right now. I just haven't
You
gotten
can't
to
play the
it.
DLC till you finish it.
Yeah.
It won't let you.
Wait, it won't let you really?
Nope. You got to have
Oh.
a credits rolled save to play it.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to go ahead and that because I do like the DLC showed off the what's it called? From they had a nod to Final Fantasy 6, the train
Oh, the
boss.
train. Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. With a suplex and everything. That is
Yep.
awesome.
I wish that would have been saved for me, but I got that spoiler too. But it's whatever.
Yeah,
It's cool.
it popped up on my feed. I was like, "Oh, that's cool," and that actually got me
Likewise.
super excited to play it. So, yeah, another great 2D RPG out there. And I still got to play the Suikoden 1 and 2 remaster. I'm actually waiting for the Switch 2 to go ahead and dive into
Mm.
that. And then what else? There's so many RPGs, like Japanese RPGs,
There are.
right? There are.
We're drowning.
Exactly. Like we're just getting them back to back to back, which I'm not complaining because there was a time where we got no Japanese RPGs. Like
Right.
it took forever, and now we got them all back to back. I can't wait for Final Fantasy 7 remake to come out again, and I will play it again on Switch
Oh
too.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Yep.
there's that. So I'm excited for that. I was just listening to a video, which is funny because I talked about this, going a little bit off topic, sorry, but I have to mention this game at least once every podcast, and that is Fire Emblem. I was watching a video where this guy was going through his GBG, and he was going through like so long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. There was a rumor that Nintendo had made two Fire Emblem games. They were ready. One was a remake, and the other one was what we know now as Fire Emblem Engage. The remake was supposed to come out, but this evil virus came out called COVID-19, and that kind of delayed everything. And that remake never came out. So what happened was Engage was actually an anniversary game, which is why it has all the heroes of Fire Emblem in there and why the mechanic kind of runs around them. Nintendo decided to go ahead and just push out the anniversary game because it was already past the anniversary game. If you remember, well, you guys probably don't, but like Ash remembers this. Nintendo had the very first Fire Emblem as a limited release for its anniversary. At that same time, Engage was also supposed to be out, but it never came out because of everything that went on. So Nate the Hate, which again I've referenced before, had come out and said that Nintendo has this remake finished. They're just waiting for the right time to release it. And there was another rumor that popped up saying that Nintendo had pushed it to Nintendo Switch 2 now. Now, there was another thing that popped up, and I noticed it right away. And I was like, I wonder if it's worth making a video, and I decided not to. When they were showing off the icon packs to all the new icons that are on Nintendo Switch 2, they have every single Fire Emblem protagonist except for Sigurd and Leaf. The rumored
Oh, those are my
game,
favorite characters.
of course they are. Yeah,
Huh.
I knew you loved them. The rumor of the game that was being remade was Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War, which is only available in Japan on Super Nintendo. It's never came out outside of Super Nintendo. I mean, it was available like in what you call it, Virtual Console, Wii U, and 3DS in Japan, but never over here in the US. So the rumor was Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War is the remade game. Out of nowhere, this is considered, was it Fire Emblem 4 and 5, right? Those two that game is Fire Emblem 4, and then you have Thracia 776, which is Fire Emblem 5. The two characters that are missing are Sigurd and Leaf, who are from Genealogy of the Holy War and Thracia 776. Which is kind of weird. Like to me, right away, I noticed that. I was like, wait a minute. So you have every single Fire Emblem main character except those two. Those two were rumored to have a remake game. Now it's kind of like adding up there because I don't think Nintendo saw this as oversight. And when you look also at the icons, each person or each like character has if they've been remade, they're using their remake art. So like Marth is using the DS version of Mystery of the Emblem, which is the remake of the third game that came out on the Super Nintendo, I believe. But he's using the DS artwork that they had. Celica is using the 3DS remake of her game, and so forth. So yeah, anyways, I just wanted to point that out that I'm so excited that I think Genealogy of Holy War is finally going to be remade, and we get to go ahead and get that game because it's Japan only. And the other thing too is that this game is a lot more mature than any other Fire Emblem game. There's a lot of like death, like it's pretty bad. It's like Game of Thrones level of bad. If you've watched Game of Thrones, it's kind of has like that, like yeah, that type of stuff. I don't want to spoil it for Ash, 'cause I know Ash will play it, but I will gladly spoil it for you too, because you guys might not play it. Um,
I mean,
mhm.
I remember playing one of the games, and I remember one of them having huge ass maps. Which one?
That's
Which one
Genealogy of
was
the
that?
Holy War. Yep, the maps are
Ooh, yeah,
giant.
I I wonder. I wonder if they're gonna scale down the maps for the remake, which I hope they don't, because I think that was like one of the main things about the game.
Yeah,
Or they'll just keep the original Switch version, because it sounds like they already made this game like so many years back, so they
yeah.
already have the original Switch version, and then once the Switch 2 is like fully comes out and everything, they'll come out with the Switch 2 edition one. I wonder
Mhm.
like if that's going to be a bit more different when it comes to like how fast things load and everything.
Yeah.
I think that would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a key thing from that game. It's like the maps are huge, and also the enemy like combatants are there's a lot of them compared to any other Fire Emblem game. Like they literally like pack the map, so it's just nonstop fight. They made it feel like a war. Like you're not really
Yeah.
doing 10 versus 10. In this case, you're like 10 on your team, and you're fighting like 100 on the enemy team. But it's kind of cool what they did there. All right, let's go ahead and get back on topic. I just had to mention that Fire Emblem. But we are on the topic of Nintendo and Nintendo Switch 2. So let's go ahead and talk about Mario Kart World. There was a developer interview where they kind of did like a deep dive of Mario Kart World and kind of like what is going on with the game. And there's some neat facts behind this. One is that the game actually started development in June, what was it?
In 20, no,
2017, I believe it was.
2017.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was June of 2017. I have it right here. Yeah. And basically, which is when the Switch came out, they have felt that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was kind of like the peak of Mario Kart. Like this was the best that the Mario Kart that we know of. This was the best it was gonna get. Which I don't know if you guys agree. I think 100%. Like this is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for all intents and purposes. I think is the best in Mario Kart. Got like Mario Kart
It's
7.
kind
I
of like
thought was
Ultimate
amazing.
Smash.
Yeah, exactly. Like Mario Kart
Like,
7
where do you go from
was
here?
great. Mario Kart 8 just built on that greatness. And
You can
it's
get all those
like,
booster courses from previous games.
yep.
That's why they
So,
made the booster course.
yep, exactly. So, when they were developing Mario Kart World, this was originally a Switch game and it was going to come out on Nintendo Switch. But then they started realizing that some of the things they were trying to do and trying to make this game unique, the Switch was not going to be able to handle. So at that time, they went and switched gears because Nintendo Switch 2 was already in development. They decided to hold off for Nintendo Switch 2. And the booster pass came out as a way to kind of like sideline everything. Excuse me. To sideline everything and kind of have people wait until Mario Kart World came out. Which I think, makes sense. Like Mario Kart World is looking great. Every time on Nintendo Today, the app, something in Mario Kart World pops up, I get impressed because there seems to be a lot of things to do in it. The only negative I had of Mario Kart World was that there's no more underwater like portions in the game. I really thought that was cool that Mario Kart 7 added that and then 8, kept that in. But in this
I
case,
like zero gravity too.
the zero
That was
gravity
fun.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was actually pretty cool too. That was weird.
But now you get to grind and wall jump.
You do, which I think is a good compromise. But the other thing too is you get to ride on water in wave race style. And actually,
Oh, true.
what's funny is the developers specifically said that when they were coming up with ways to travel, this was one thing, and they all went back to Wave Race 64. And they literally said that this was kind of like a nod to Wave Race 64 as almost like it's a spiritual successor to Wave Race, which I thought was kind of cool. And this is all on Nintendo's, like if you go to Nintendo's website, it's under As the Developer Volume 18 Mario Kart World Part 1. They just kind of do deep dives into just everything that they have going on in Mario Kart World, which I thought was pretty cool. They show like different concept art of how it was getting started. They showed the cow as a kind of like concept, and then from there they had the idea of like, why not just put in different, you know, different characters are in the Mario universe but are not really main characters. Let's add them as playable characters. So that's how you get like the cow, and there's like a bunch of other characters on there as playable characters, which is kind of cool. I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited for Mario Kart World, and I think what got me more excited is they mentioned Wave Race. Because there hasn't been a new Wave Race game since the GameCube game, so I think it's kind of cool that they mentioned Wave Race, and they actually were working with the physics in the water to kind of mimic how good Wave Race was. Because I'm not sure if anybody's
Just ahead
played
of its time.
Wave Race, yeah, recently. It still has some of the best water physics in any game. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, so how excited are you guys with Mario Kart World? What do you guys think about this information?
It's Mario Kart. It's going to be great. It's going to be massive. It's going to be so popular. It's going to sell. I mean, obviously, most people are buying it with their Switches, or rather, it's getting packaged in with their Switches. And then if it's not packaged in, maybe you didn't get a pack in once. So you're going to go buy it for $80, or maybe you just don't like Mario Kart. Maybe you're not going to buy it, but that's not going to be the majority of people. I don't think. It's going to be really fun, and I think it's a great game for Switch 2 to launch with. It's just nothing like too serious, nothing that is a huge commitment or anything. It just kind of drop in, drop out, have fun with people, do that game chat streaming thing where you're streaming your head while you're shooting your buddy with a blue shell or whatever. Like it's just a good time, and I think that's a great way to start the system.
I feel like the way the game is designed, how it's like all one big open world, they could still add on.
Mm-hmm.
They probably will.
Yeah. Like you're like up like, disappointed there isn't like underwater like courses.
Yeah.
For all we know, they could like get to an area where there's beach and like, hey, you can swerve off and go to a course on an
maybe.
island, but you got to go underwater to get to it.
That'd be cool. Because at this point, they are showing off, like, there's some classic levels from older games in there. But because of this, some of the underwater levels are not going to be, like, there's the whole bathtub level. Like, you're inside, like, a bathroom. You can't put that level in there. I think that level's pretty cool. It's very unique, very original. It's only available in the booster pack. But that level's, as of right now, will never be in Mario Kart World because you can't go underwater. Unless they change it to be above water, but the majority of that map is you're underwater, so it kind of makes no sense. What about you, Ash?
I mean, I'm like so and so about Mario Kart World for the most part. I mean, that's why I kind of bought the bundle, because like I agree with the price of the Switch too, but I just don't think Mario Kart's not shouldn't be up around that price. And I mainly blame that on the PR team, because I mean they tried to show the game, but it was just not. It just wasn't appealing enough per se, and I feel like the game's true colors will fully flourish once it comes out, and I feel like those parts that people will rave about the game, they should have shown that in the Nintendo Treehouse and other things as well. So I think Nintendo next time they need to do better marketing for their future Switch 2 titles, and at that point then nobody will really complain about the games and stuff, you know.
Yeah, I hear you with that. I mean, I don't know. I think they did a good job with Mario Kart World and the marketing and everything. Um, the only thing that, like I said, I was sad was underwater. Everything else I liked about it. Everything they showed off was
Which
pretty cool.
that's weird. I don't know why they wouldn't let you go underwater. Because
Yeah.
I mean, is there like a hardware limitation? I don't think so. I
No,
don't
it's
think
definitely
that
not
would
hardware.
Guys, we play Mario Kart for realism, and you can't drive a car underwater like that. Okay, let's get real here.
That's true. Or go against gravity, the laws of gravity, and all that stuff. But you can,
Right.
in real life, you can grind on rails with a car.
Absolutely. How do you think I get to work every day?
I feel like they should have just kept everything in there, like including the gravity stuff, including the underwater, like just keep everything in there.
I don't think it's because those levels don't fit into the aesthetic that they're trying to get with.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that
like
makes
it's a giant map. Like, how are you gonna put a bathtub level in a giant world?
Challenge
Like,
accepted.
But they'll figure it out. It's Nintendo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there might be
They'll figure it
other
out.
like underwater like levels they could do that maybe like would fit
it's
into
an
it, but like a
alien
bathtub
bathtub that just lands
would be
on
tough to do.
planet Mario or whatever it's called, whatever their planet is called. And
Called
there you go.
Kart World.
Yeah, Kart World, right?
I think they just had to like pick and choose and like come up with new things to kind of like fit the aesthetic that they're working on and add on later to things that kind of work with it.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I can see that. Like, I get it. Kind of like when we had the talk about new Smash Bros. And how I would like it just to kind of start from scratch. I can see that this is where this is going. They're kind of starting from scratch, which I'm okay with because that kind of gives you the time to go back to the drawing board and reinvent what we already had. Even if you have to take away features that you might have liked before, you can kind of push into a different direction and still make a unique experience. And technically speaking, because of backwards compatibility, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is still there. If I want to go and play underwater levels, I can always go back to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and play that. So I get what they're going at. I'm so excited for Mario Kart World. It is something that's kind of different enough. I'm excited to play with you guys on stream on Thursday. That is definitely going to fit into a schedule. Like all day, I was thinking of today of a schedule that we can go through. In Mario Kart 8, we have to play at least an hour of Mario Kart 8 together. We'll do a block of that. The other thing that I am planning to do, and we will have to talk off stream though, is I do want to go ahead and test out Game Share, or not Game Share. I'm sorry. What's the other one? No, yeah, Game Share. I'm sorry. It is Game Share. Where we can go ahead and stream Super Mario 3D World. I want to test it out because that is getting updated to be able to use Game Share. So I would like all of us to kind of test it out and see how that works. Since I'm very curious at the latency with something like a Mario game, you can't really have any latency. It has to kind of just work. I'm very curious to see how that's going to work out when it
And
comes to
that
that.
works non-proximity.
Yeah, non-proximity. So through online.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's why I want to test it out. I will test it out like in proximity, like with my other switches here to see how it functions here. But as far as online goes, I kind of want to do like at least a block if we can of us just testing out that game and see how good it runs there, because that's going to be very
Wonder,
interesting to see. Hmm.
wonder if you can game share from a Switch 2 to a regular Switch.
Yeah, you can.
I think they said you can.
You
Yeah.
can. Yeah.
I mean, that'll be nice then. That'd be cool.
Well, yeah. If you look at your Switch, Game Share is on there now. If you updated it.
Yeah, I do see it.
Yeah, and so like it's that so like that's part of what I'm gonna test is like with my OLED Switch, some of those games I'm gonna test there, but with us I want to test Super Mario 3D World because hey, that is a game I've been wanting to play as a group stream. But I think Fan and Ash, you guys don't have it. Brian, you do have that game, right?
I own 3D World. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, Fan and
Well,
Ash
funny enough,
doesn't have it.
yeah. Funny enough, I never got on 3D World. I should definitely get that later though.
What
It's an amazing
what's
game.
it
I like it.
what's it called where you can lend a game to somebody? What's that called?
Um
Because we're calling this game share. What's the other thing called?
it's just virtual game cart. That's what it is.
Okay, so there's no like system for that. It's just called virtual
Yeah.
virtual cards or whatever. Okay.
Yeah, virtual game cart.
And the thing, and from what I saw, you have to be within proximity to share that.
Yeah,
which I'm like,
it is.
Yeah,
Yep.
which is
I'm
kind
like,
of dumb.
why? Like,
Yeah.
like I can understand that they're trying to emulate the feel of like, hey, buddy, you got that game I wanted to borrow? Yeah, sure, here you go. But come on, man, this is a digital copy. Like, come
Yeah.
on. So,
That is kind of dumb, which makes it so. Maybe they'll update it. Maybe in the future they'll realize that. Oh yeah,
That'd be amazing.
like we did mess up because I think that'd be better, right? You still have to be part of a family, but like Steam has family sharing and it's all virtual, and all it is you can't play the same game at the same time as somebody else, right? So the whole game library is open to anybody in your family, which I think it's a maximum of 6 people, and you just can't play the same game. Nintendo can easily do that.
I wonder though, because like I'm thinking with a virtual game card, once you commit like the transfer or
Mhm.
the loan, I would say, are they transferring the full game from one console to another, or are they just simply just giving you like a unique key like for the license of the game for like 2 weeks?
I think
or
it's just
something
the
like
license.
Yeah, it's just a license because the neat thing about virtual game cart is when you do like share it that way, which is something that the Steam or Valve's family sharing doesn't do to I believe it doesn't do, at least to my knowledge. I'm not too sure. But I know with Nintendo's, you can be offline and still play that virtual game cart if you share it. I don't think Valve's way of doing it allows you to play offline. I think you have to be online. But I could be wrong with that.
I could test it later
Yeah.
on. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be a good way to test it. I should test it too.
Yeah, 'cause there's a setting in there that says
For offline
don't check
play?
license, offline license or something like that.
In what? In
In
Steam Deck?
Switch. In
On
no, in the
Nintendo
Switch.
Switch? Really?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a setting and there's something about turning off like online check for license. So that way, or you're talking about how you can play offline, like
Yeah.
you would have to have that feature turned off, where it's not checking the license for that game. So
Well, I
that
think
way you
that's
can play
I thought
only
that was only go for like a
for
home console.
yeah, I think that's only for if you're doing the old way. So you can go back to the old way where you can log into another Switch and
Okay.
basically you share both, but you can't then you don't get access to the virtual game cart at all, which is kind of dumb. Like the way Nintendo is doing it is kind of weird and very just, to the extent it is not confusing, but confusing in the sense like why did you do it this way? Like I understand how it's done and how it works, but why? Like why do you have
You
to make
guys,
Yeah,
it this
because
hard?
I would have understood if they're doing this virtual game card thing, if they're actually transferring that game from one system to another. But
Mhm.
if it's just simply just letting you borrowing the license, at that point it makes no sense for just locking it down only to proximity stuff.
Yeah.
Right at that point, you can just easily send it to one of your family members over the internet if it's just a license
Yeah.
stuff.
That's
You know,
true.
it's that right there is At that point, this should be able to improve upon that later on. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen eventually. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to really worry too much about that.
I'm sure
Nintendo's
too.
always been kind of behind the curve, though. Remember back in the day, like I still can't believe this is a thing. Like I think it was with Wii and Wii U, maybe 3DS. It's where your licenses were associated with your system as opposed to your account. Do you guys remember
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I remember
That was
that was
so
Oh,
unnecessary.
I
and
forgot
you had to
about
like
that. Yeah,
call
that's
them
weird.
and like they had to transfer your console license and
Yep.
stuff. It was so backwards and it was just like a joke
Yeah.
compared to what PS3 and Xbox were doing at the time. So they're always kind of behind the curve when it comes to this stuff. Like I recently actually formatted my Switch because I just kind of wanted to do it. I don't really have an explanation, but um and like I just couldn't believe when you go through those virtual game cards, it looks a lot cleaner than going into the eShop and having to like put all of your games that are downloaded into your
Yeah.
library. Now they're just kind of all nice in your because I have a ton of digital games, a ton of them. And now it's just all in your little virtual game thing, and then you can just like select it and then it gets put to your home screen. And so I just find it's a lot more of an efficient way to kind of manage your stuff and keep it organized than the old way. But
I agree.
yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see what they do next.
I agree. I don't have as many digital games. Like I have literally a drawer down here of all my physical game cases, but I do like the aesthetics of the way the virtual game card like
It looks nice.
interface looks, and it kind of looks better than the actual just icons that we get on the actual screen.
Kind of does.
Yeah, those just kind of look boring and everything.
I wonder if you can play games from the virtual game card thing, or you probably have to go through the homepage, don't you? I never
Uh,
tried it.
oh, like
I think you
start
do.
boot it up directly from there. Yeah, you have to
Yeah,
go through the homepage. That's just
yeah, that's a
to
bummer.
enable and disable it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
that's another thing. There should be a theme. Like the theme could be like you make everything look like a virtual game card on like your thing. That
Yeah,
would be kind
that'd
of
be
cool.
awesome.
Yeah, I don't know why Nintendo just doesn't go back to the old ways.
At least at least they do let you like organize your virtual game cards for like on the website too, like for
That
your
is
account.
true. I think that's pretty cool. Where you can kind of send it, which is kind of weird because you can actually send them to different switches from there, but
Yeah, I
yet
know.
you can't
Oh
let
God.
like send it from I don't understand that like
Yeah,
it's
bro. Oh
weird.
my God. So the feature is technically already there. These they got to do the one extra mile to let you do. Okay.
Yeah, it's there because you can even choose what switch you want to download it to, which is crazy. Like I don't understand why I don't know. Like Nintendo's
They're
got
probably
some weird stuff.
thinking about like um their sales, right?
Yeah,
They're because you can have 8 people in your family, and they're like, okay, what if people abuse that and like kick other families out, and then add other families in
yeah.
families, quote unquote families, and then just start only one person's buying the game, and they're just sharing it like every 2 weeks to a bunch of people.
Put limits on it,
Yeah,
like you can only if this person leaves, they can't come back for 6 months or something like that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think Valve
I mean,
has a
that's
limit. You can only rotate family members. I forgot how many times within a year, and after that you gotta wait.
yeah.
So there's You could limit
That
that.
was just once.
Hmm?
That was just once.
No, I don't
Like,
think it's once. Oh, what do you
well,
mean once?
like when you join the family.
Mhm.
Let's say I join your family, James, for
Mhm.
Steam. All right, I dip. I can't join a family until next year or something like that. I think they did that. I think that's the
Oh, you
rule
might
for
be
with that
right.
if anything.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So there's that. Like you can do something like that. Make it so that it's strict, and that I think that would be the best way to go about it. Because, yeah, have these strict rules so that I can at least have a little bit more freedom how I share my games. Yeah, I think that's how it should be. But who knows? Nintendo does weird things sometimes like this, which makes no sense. Like I still think Virtual Game Cart is cool, the way it works and everything. I do like it.
Like it's 80% there.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
75%. Let's say 75%, right? It's almost there to perfection. There's some things that I don't like about it, but I do like it as a tool, and I do think it's a step in the right direction. The downside, of course, is of the 25% I don't like is they kind of got rid of the old game sharing way where you can go ahead and have two people playing the same game at the same time. You can't have that being done anymore, which you still can do as of right now with PlayStation and Xbox. But I do think that PlayStation and Xbox are looking at the way Valve and also Nintendo are doing it, and they probably will follow sooner rather than later, which kind of sucks. That means you got to buy $80 games twice, which makes it $160 or maybe more, depending on how many people are in your family. All right, but anyways, Mario Kart World comes out June 5th. I am super excited for the Switch 2. Can't tell you. Every day I look at my Switch, I'm like,
I can't
why?
wait to get rid of mine.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, I love my
It just
Switch
seems
and
so
everything,
old.
but yeah, now it's just like every time I see the Switch 2, it's like I need it. I need it. On a side note, if you guys don't look at it, I do recommend looking at Nintendo Today, the app, because they do show off some cool stuff. They had a video, I want to say it was either yesterday or the day before, where they actually went through all the different sound effects that the Switch 2 will make, which
Yeah, I saw that.
it's probably not the biggest thing, but I think it's cool because the Switch makes the same sound no matter what you press on. The Switch 2 does not. It makes different sounds for everything that you press on, which is kind of cool. I do like that they did that. And there's also a little bit of other differences. The icons are different. They're more rounded. There's a gradient that actually shows what you're selected versus it only being blue on the OG Switch or the regular Switch rather, or Switch 1, I guess, whatever you want to call it now. But Switch 2 has like a gradient that kind of shows a highlight of where you're selected, which I thought was pretty cool. And they've showed a little bit of the differences in the menus and so forth. So they're giving you little bits and pieces there of how the new Switch 2 UI is going to be. And it just gets me excited every time I see stuff like that. Can't
Amen.
wait. Can't wait. That and when they showed off the GameCube controller, I'm like, yes, can't wait. Everybody here got a GameCube controller, right?
Yeah, my
No,
buddy
I
who's
did.
It's still
buddy
out.
who's in. Yeah,
Oh,
it
really?
is.
Yeah,
Oh shit!
you can pre-order it right
Oh,
now.
I thought it was sold out.
I ordered one for myself already, and then my buddy who's in my family sharing, I had him order another one because he was never going to buy one anyway. So I had him order another one so I can keep one in box, and I send him money for it.
Nice. I'm excited. I can't wait. Oh, I can't wait to play Soul Calibur 2 again, even though I have it on my retro pocket. It'll still be nice to play it.
James,
Is it sold out now?
you lying to me?
Is it sold out now?
Yes,
it?
it's sold out.
No.
Oh,
Are
it
you
wasn't
logged
this
in?
afternoon.
Are you logged in?
Huh?
Are you logged into your
logged in?
Nintendo account?
I'm not logged in. Let me try that.
Yeah,
That's
you gotta get
probably
logged
why.
in,
Yeah,
otherwise
you
it's
have to
gonna
log in.
log
not
in.
work.
Dang, don't call me fake news, man. I'm not fake news.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Look it up right now. GameCube.
I'm on my
Oh.
work laptop thinking this was my desktop. Holy, sold out.
Yeah, it won't let me. It says item limit reached. I can't even see if it's still available.
Yeah, because you've already bought one on your account. It won't let you order
Yeah.
another one.
What I
Yeah,
don't
that's why I
like,
had
it
my
doesn't let
friend
me
do it.
buy a dock. I've been wanting to buy a dock, and it
Yeah, I
still
wanna buy a
says
second
release
dock
is
too.
June 5th.
Yep.
It's kind of dumb.
Those are gonna sell out, I bet.
I know, right? Because the original dock sold out like super fast.
Yep.
That or they only manufacture like 2.
Yep.
One or the other. I still got to get a micro SD express card.
I got that
Oh,
down.
same here. I forgot about that.
I completely forgot about that. I missed out when that
You know,
Lexar 512 was available. I knew I should have gotten it then, and I didn't. That was on me.
you, you you know what's funny is that like I think the first thing I'm going to do once I get the Switch 2 is first boot up Xenoblade Chronicles X.
To see if there's
I
a
just really
performance
want to.
difference.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
There
Like,
isn't though. They said there's not though yet.
well, nothing
we'll
official.
see.
So there's we talked about this a little bit on the last podcast. I do think that certain games have this because they have like a variable like frame rate or not a frame rate, but they have a cap. I do think that certain games will get that boost. What game were we talking about? Link's Awakening and Echoes of Wisdom, which somebody else also reported that it does have a hard lock, I think, to 60 FPS. So that, technically speaking, would mean that because of the performance that you do get on the Switch 2, it should stay at 60 FPS. The only thing they're getting is more of the like the blurriness and stuff that happen within those games. They're gonna kind of get rid of that. So I do wonder if Xenoblade Chronicles X is already coded so that when you pop it into the Switch 2, it doesn't need that update and it'll do the 60 FPS if that code's already there.
I'm really dubious about Link's Awakening and Echoes of Wisdom having a steady frame rate. I think that is wishful thinking on the internet's part. If it ends up being true
Mhm.
and it's at rock solid 60 and I'm wrong, I will be the first to eat crow and I will be happy to do so.
I will
But
test it
I
out
just
day one for you.
me too.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna
Yeah,
test it out, you know.
you have doubts because I'm pretty sure it's going to be at 60 when it comes online.
I'm doubting it sincerely because I think Nintendo would have said that in when they were talking about the updates for it. They just said it was the better resolution and something else. They didn't mention the frame rate. You
Well,
figure
I think though, like I was mentioning, I think that's because it has a hard cap at 60, right? So like the frame rate dropping is because the system can't handle it. So it's still set to 60, kind of like a PC game, right? If you set it to 60 FPS or 120, whatever the case, it can go to 120, but when your GPU or whatever can't handle it, it lowers itself, right? I think that's what it's doing in this case.
you'd
Does that
think
make sense?
they'd tell you that though. I don't understand what you're
Yeah.
saying, but they would say you think they would say improve performance. Like
But
I know what
maybe
you're
because
saying,
the
but
patch doesn't technically do that, right? The patch is improving the other stuff, but it doesn't really improve the frame rate because the frame rate's already set. Does that
but
make
they've never
sense?
said anything. That makes sense, but they've
Yeah.
never said anything about backwards compatible games getting better performance outside
Yeah.
of the updates that they're doing.
I
So I don't know if
I
that's
understand
correct to
that.
be assuming that. You
Yeah.
know,
Wait, okay. So,
I
all right,
agree with that too. Like I shouldn't assume, but
let me ask you.
go
Let
ahead.
me ask you guys this question. All right, on the regular Switch, was there any moment in that game where it went up to 60 FPS? Any
yes,
moment?
Yeah.
yeah,
It did.
Link's Awakening and
both of
Echoes
them.
of Wisdom
Yep.
did in certain spots, yes.
In
Mhm.
certain points. So at
Correct.
that point, there's technically no cap frame rate in that version.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So theoretically, if you were to put that on the Switch 2, the game should be running mostly at 60 FPS. If the game, if the game originally never got capped at 30 or 45 or something like that.
Yeah.
If
That-
we've
that-
already proven that it ran at 60 in certain parts of the game because of the hardware limitation, then at that point, it will literally run better on the Switch 2 due to brute forcing.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
But they're not saying that though. I know what you're saying. I 100% agree with you that like from a logical perspective, it's running on better hardware, thus it should run better. But they haven't said anything that games emulated on Switch are going to run better than or games that are emulated on Switch 2 are going to be better than Switch 1. I hope they do. I
Yeah.
think they absolutely should. But you'd think they make a bigger deal about that than like because
I
like even
think-
Sony did that with like Bloodborne, like oh it runs slightly better on a PS4 Pro or whatever. Like they have that little feature. They haven't said anything about that on Switch 2.
The thing is with Bloodborne, it's a bit more different
Well,
because
yeah,
with
or
Lance,
game
when
boost,
Lance McDonald,
Yeah, game boost.
When Lance McDonald was working on the mod, all he said was that because the game because within the code it had its own limiter, he just unlocked that, and that's how he was able to get up to 60 FPS when emulating that. When it comes to this particular game, when it comes to Echoes of Wisdom and stuff, there was technically no limiter on that game. Well, I mean, technically there is if it's only going up to 60, but
Yeah.
the point being is that the Switch hardware was already limited or not properly optimized for the Switch 1 to run at a stable 60 for most of the time. So with that, I'm pretty much saying that when the Switch 2 comes out, it's probably not gonna be like a full stable 60 FPS, but it's gonna be definitely a night and day difference between the two, between the Switch 1 and Switch 2 at that point.
I hope
You
you're
know?
right. I'll eat crow if it ends up being solid, much better performing. I will say I was 100% wrong, but right now, it's just I'm a little pessimistic because
Yeah,
they
I
haven't. You think they would say something,
because I think some of it when we think about that is we think of the old way of emulation, right? That Nintendo used to do, or not emulation. I'm sorry for backwards compatibility. Like when the Wii
right?
was able to play GameCube games, it's because it had GameCube hardware inside the Wii.
Right.
When the Wii U played Wii games, is because the same thing. It had
Correct.
it had Wii hardware inside the Wii U and so forth.
Yep.
3DS to 3DS and all that. So we never really got a performance boost in those. But the new way of doing it's really like emulation, which kind of like
It is
improves that
simulation.
performance. And technically speaking, the way emulators run, right, it's like any emulator you have. If you go ahead and pop those games into said emulator, you get a better consistent frame rate, right? It's like playing what's a game that I was playing? It was an N64
Scarlet
game. I
Violet.
can't think about it.
Oh, no.
No, it was an N64 game, but like certain games only ran like Zelda, actually. Right? It's like playing Zelda 64 or Zelda on 64, right? It's a like 20 FPS versus 30 FPS if you do like through emulation. And that's just because just through natural emulation you get that performance boost, if that makes sense.
And if anything, I know we talked about this a bit from the last podcast, but I think Fan, you did mention that you were one time you were testing out Scarlet via emulation, and you didn't have to add any mods or anything like that. It just ran
Yeah.
a straight up solid 60.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, it's not just me. I mean, there are people online that clearly showed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so at that point, mainly because is that game itself, it probably had a hard limiter at 60, but it was consistently fluctuating between frame rates on the original hardware
Well, I
itself.
think
So I feel like
I
was
don't
it
even know
60 or
if it was
30?
set at 60.
Yeah, I think it was 30. It would have ran
30.
at a solid 30. 60 would be for you having to set the hacks, but I think it ran at a solid 30 for anybody who played through emulation without any like
well,
mods or anything like that.
Fans say he didn't have to do any mods to run the game at
Yeah, because
60.
the game which is I think or maybe there was a I don't remember, to be honest, because it was so long ago.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
the game is capped at 30.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's why on their little Nintendo update it says performance boost for frame rate is
To
because
change it to 60.
to change it to 60.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense.
Well, we'll have to wait and see for that stuff.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah. We're almost there. Almost there. Excited. That's right. Today's Thursday. I'm here thinking today's Sunday, and I'm saying less than 2 weeks. Yeah.
2 weeks from today.
2 weeks from today, we'll be at this time, or maybe not at this time, but maybe earlier, we'll be playing Switch 2 for sure. Let's talk about a little bit about that last topic of the day, and that is PlayStation copying Nintendo, because who doesn't want to copy Nintendo, as always, in terms of PlayStation ending PlayStation stars. They saw Nintendo
That
ending
hurt.
gold coins, and they were like, hey, let's do the same thing, and let's just put up an excuse there. Honestly speaking, I don't know. They say that they're going to try to come up with something different. I feel like they won't. But part of me, I was really thinking about it. When PlayStation Stars first got announced, I thought about it. They were trying to make their way into the NFT world. And like all these
Yep.
businesses are trying to make NFT like a huge thing. NFTs, I don't think I've heard the word NFT in almost like a year. At least in the past 6 months. I haven't heard the word I guess it's not a word, but the letters NFT.
The acronym.
And yeah, the acronym, whatever you want to call it. I haven't
That
heard
got
that.
bullied out of existence, which is hilarious.
Exactly, because like most of those other scams, it was just a scam. Nobody, was really doing that. And I think this was PlayStation's way of getting into that. And then they realized nobody cares about this stuff. All the digital rewards you got, outside of like the points you got to get the like discounts on games and get the rewards, nobody else cared about that other stuff. Nobody wanted like
I like the little tchotchkes you get. I got a few of them.
you liked it? Like,
yeah, they're cute. Yeah, they're free. What the hell,
for me, like I didn't care because it's like there's no reason for me to have it. Like if I could make like a trophy room and inside like like the PS5 itself, that would be kind of cool. Kind of like like Smash Bros. You can kind of decorate.
Mm.
I think it was Brawl that allow you to decorate it with the different trophies. If I can do something like that, that would be pretty awesome. But for the most part, I just felt like it was useless outside of there are points, right? Were there points or coin? There are points, yeah. Outside of the points that you got to
Yeah,
get
I think
the
they're coins, weren't
were they
they? Because they're
coins?
like little circles. Yeah.
Yeah, so coins, I guess, just like Nintendo. 'Cause I really like gold
Right.
coins on Nintendo. Like I got a lot of games cheap, and that actually enticed me to get the digital games that I do own because you'll buy digital games, you get gold coins, and then you can use that towards more digital games. And I just kind of kept doing that stuff there. In
Right.
this case, I use the points or whatever for PlayStation stars to get Rebirth, and I think I use it for Final Fantasy 16 as well. So I did use that, and I did like that rewards program. It was kind of cool. Kind of sad that it's done, but Brian, tell us your experience about this. Did you see this coming?
No, because I thought it was pretty popular. I really enjoy PlayStation Stars. I like the little missions. I like checking them every once in a while because I have so many digital games that it's really easy for me to grab points when they have those ones that are like, play this game. I just load it up, get the points, and I'm out, or I'll get a collectible. It's like, yeah, I'll load it up for a second to get a little animal or some points or whatever. And you're right. I did use it most of the time to get discounts on games, and I guess now they just think they're so big they don't need it. They don't need to give discounts on games,
Yeah.
or they're losing. They feel like they could not do that and get more money from customers just paying games full cost. But I like the program. It was fun, just seeing the little rewards kick through and getting them and everything kind of gave you a nice sense of accomplishment. I will say there have been a few times where I found it kind of glitchy, like where you'd go into a game and it would say like play this game to get this, and then it doesn't give you the reward or whatever, and it would be a little inconsistent sometimes. So I definitely feel like there's some aspects of this that they didn't iron out all the kinks, and it was just kind of like it got to a point where it's like, well, we're going to be ending this anyway, so let's not even bother making this smoother. But yeah, it's disappointing that it's ending, and maybe one day they'll institute something that is consumer friendly and rewards players and everything. But for now, RIP in peace, PlayStation Stars.
Yeah, to read off the official press here, it says since launching the program, we've learned a lot from evaluating the types of activities our players respond best to, and as a company, we are always evolving with player and industry trends. Kind of tells you about the NFT stuff, right?
Right.
Industry trends. Through this evaluation, we have decided to refocus our efforts and will be winding down the current version of PlayStation Stars, which sounds weird. Like, that's weird words to use. Winding down the current version of PlayStation
Right.
Stars. We will continue to evaluate our key findings from this program and are looking into ways to build upon these learnings. Like, that's kind of weird using that term. We're winding it down, but then when you scroll down a little bit, it tells you that current PlayStation Star members, or I'm sorry, starting today, PlayStation Stars will no longer accept new members for this version of the program. What does that mean for this version of the program?
I
It
guess
kind
that
of sounds
means
like
they are anticipating bringing something else.
yeah, it kind of sounds like they are bringing something else, but I guess, I don't know. Like, it's kind of weird wording there, and it makes you wonder if they really do have something else in mind that's maybe it's another rewards program, maybe not. I don't know. It's interesting. The weird wording for sure. Like I think as of right now, Microsoft's the only one who does the Microsoft points. That was a cool way for me to get Xbox Game Pass on Xbox. So you do the little like missions and the challenges, which like play a Game Pass game, play Gears of War, and so forth. But they had these little missions like that, kind of like what Nintendo does in the Nintendo Online stuff, where you have like play Kirby on Super Nintendo or Kirby
Right.
Superstar
Get
on Super Nintendo.
platinum points.
Exactly. It's kind of like that, but they have that for the points that you can use towards gift cards to then get like Game Pass. So as of right now, Microsoft's the only one still doing it. Nintendo will probably still do the platinum stuff to kind of get like little avatars or whatever you want to call them, icons and backgrounds, maybe themes in the future, hopefully. But as far as PlayStation goes, as of right now, they don't have anything like that. Not yet. So we will have to wait and see where this goes from there. But anyways, I do think that's everything we have to talk about today. Anything anybody else wants to add for today? Because there wasn't that much, not that much big news this week.
Elder Scrolls movie for Ash. You didn't hear about that? Yeah, Alex Garland. He's gonna do an Elder
I mean,
Scrolls
Elden
movie.
Ring. Elden Ring.
Oh, what did I say? Elder Scrolls,
Yeah,
Elden
yeah.
Ring. Yeah, Elden Ring.
Yeah, I
sorry.
was like,
Yeah, Ash
cool.
gave that
I was
face like,
cool
I don't
Elden
give a
Ring,
fuck.
Elden
but
Ring, Elden
I
Ring,
don't really
Elden
care
Ring,
too much about that. Okay, I mean,
Elden
well,
Ring.
I don't know. I'll look forward. I'll look forward to it. If anything,
I,
Yeah.
I
I
think
hope they
that's
show a
gonna
lot of
bring.
parrying.
Yeah,
What do you
right.
say?
I hope they show a lot of
The
parrying. in
combat
game,
scenes
in
are
the
just gonna
movie.
be
Yeah.
dodge
Combat.
rolling. It's gonna be like
Dodge and
nonstop dodge
parrying.
rolling and parrying.
Am I the Perry King now? I don't know. But
That's
It'd be
just gonna
funny
be
if
the
they
movie
show
then.
like you like jumping on torrent and then like there's nothing there, but you're so like looks like you're riding an invisible horse.
They're gonna have
right,
live
yeah.
glitches in the movie. That means they're
No,
gonna
I'm here.
if the main character doesn't die more than once, then it's not a true Elden Ring movie. Like he needs to die to
Yeah, that
Godfrey, or is his name Godfried or whatever, the first boss.
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be weird how they tackle this, or any Dark Souls or any Souls like game from Software, because like the main character, right? They're not really. They're mainly just a
There's
blank
no character.
canvas.
They're avatar of
Yeah,
you, right?
exactly. Yeah, it's a self insert. So it's gonna be really difficult for the like director and the people in production to like figure out like a good character archetype for this one, and how they go through their trauma and pain when they die a lot, which I'm assuming they'll try to add that factor into the game as well. I mean, into the movie and stuff. So I mean, they could do plot armor and say that he never dies, but I'm like, brother, like this is part of the soul experience, you know. Like when you die,
They'll have a
you
cameo
come
of
back and do it and try it again, you know.
they're gonna have a cameo of Let Me Solo Her. It's gonna show up.
Yes, that'd be so funny. And the thing is too, they get they can take notes from I forgot which Doctor Strange movie, but I'm pretty sure it's the first one where bros come in. Don't remember, I come to bargain. He like keeps dying endlessly because
Yeah,
they
that's
were
the first
trapped
one.
in a
What's that?
whole
I don't
time
remember
loop
that.
and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. To me that was badass because he kept enduring the pain over and over just so he can stop invading Earth. Literally, it was so awesome, badass. They need to sort of take notes, some notes from that, maybe a little bit, and literally harden this main character to like actually strategize and try to focus on how to beat the boss or something like that, right? Build some character with that.
A
You know?
Sekiro movie probably would have been better.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like a Sekiro movie will be much better because even though it's a Souls-like game, that main character actually had character to him,
Yeah.
right?
He has like an
So
arc and everything.
Yep.
Yeah, he has like literal arc and everything. So it makes sense, you know. But that's just me.
They should make a Fire Emblem movie.
I'm surprised they haven't even done that yet.
But in the movie,
Shocked.
everybody has to like walk on a grid, and that's how they attack, and they have to wait their turn to attack. So it has to be
They
as
can
Sounds
like
like a Squid Game game.
yeah,
they
exactly.
can
Right?
like do like a visualization within the movie. Like when you have a tactician in there, they're like, hey, what's the plan? What's the strategy? And then he's like, let me see it. You go into his mind, and then it shows the entire battlefield, just like in the games and stuff. I think that would be cool.
That'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
I agree.
Fun fact:
Yeah.
there was an old Fire Emblem anime that came out a long time ago.
Oh.
Yeah, I did watch some of it. I'm like,
Mhm.
oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
think it was also English
Really?
dub too. Yeah,
Oh, I only saw it in Japanese. I didn't know
was
it
it
was English
Japanese? I
dubbed.
thought there was an English dub to it too.
I saw it in Japanese. I saw
okay.
it in Japanese. I didn't know if there was an English dub or not.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, that was interesting. It was it was based off of the first Fire Emblem game, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, there was an anime to that. I think they should just do the, like I said, Project Justice anime. It makes sense. And that, and we need a Capcom versus SNK 3 now that we got this collection.
True that.
Ash, did you pick it?
I've been
Did you
playing
pick
that.
up the collection?
Oh yeah, didn't you see on Steam? Yeah, I've
No.
actually been enjoying it a lot. Funny enough, I have not. I'm the guy that has not played Power Stone at all.
You haven't played it yet?
Never, never. But I've been like
Have you
mainly
now?
just focusing on. Not yet. I've been playing. I've been playing just Capcom versus SNK Millennium 2001. I've been enjoying that. And what makes it even more cool too is that I follow one of these FGC creators named Maximilian Dude, and he uploaded a video on like the different groove systems. And what I didn't know is that like with the groove system, it kind of provides like a fresh new play style on how you play the game and stuff. And
Mhm.
certain grooves work for certain characters and stuff. And then as I was getting into it, I was like, oh man, this stuff is fun. This is great. Like I was looking at this, I'm like, damn, this is way more advanced than any of the fighting games that are out today right now. Like this is insane. So I might be sinking my teeth more into those games more than Power Stone, to be honest with you. Because
You gotta try Power Stone, man. It's so much fun.
I think
You
you'll
have
change
to
your
try it.
mind. You'll change your mind if you try
Yeah,
Power
you
Stone.
will.
Dude, it's just that I wish fighting games were more just like that. That's my thing, right? It was it was one of those games that's easy to learn but hard to master. That's the thing.
So I love Capcom versus SNK and SNK too. Like I've talked about it nonstop.
They're totally
before.
different.
But Power Stone, once you play it, you'll see what we're talking about. Power Stone is just pure fun. It's
It
not.
is.
It's
I
not
did see
Capcom versus
gameplay of it.
SNK. Yeah.
I did see gameplay of it. I mean, I saw gameplay of it, but I wasn't. My attention wasn't.
Think of it like a
100%
3D Smash.
Yeah,
Like in the
it's basically
3D
3D
environment.
Smash.
It looks like they were
Kinda.
throwing. It looks like half the time they were throwing something at each other.
You can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're throwing stuff.
can.
You're
You can
shooting
get items.
projectiles, swords,
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's
guns.
what I was thinking. I was like, holy shit,
It's-
that's cool.
It's
Yeah.
literally like
Well,
a
it's very
3D
cool.
environment Smash almost.
Yeah, the movement is great. Like when if you could run over, like instead of picking up like a table or a box, like when you run over it, you'll see they'll kind of like vault over it, which is kind of cool. The animations are great. You can grab onto like if there's like a beam in the middle, you can grab onto it to kind of climb up.
Swing around it and kick people.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of cool stuff in there. You could pick up a bazooka or a rocket launcher and like shoot it at people. Pick up bombs.
Turn
and
into
throw
Goku.
it. Turn into Goku. Yeah, do a spirit bomb. There's like a lot of cool things you can do in that game. So it's
I don't like the
just-
art
it's-
in this comic.
you don't.
No, it's Americanized.
Oh, of course, yeah, it was American made. That was my only negative about the art in that in
Yeah.
the
Even
comic.
like the last one, it's like they did a Calvin and Hobbes style cartoon. Like
Yeah.
seriously,
They did the same thing with like the Marvel versus Capcom one. It's
yeah.
not the best either.
Here's my thing with like why I'm like having like a big fun with R versus SNK. It's mainly because of the groove system stuff. Because it's not just simply just hey, we inverted these buttons or switch these buttons. No, it's more like you're not able to roll. You're not able to run. You're able to combo this into that. It's just so many ways to skin a cat when playing a character, right? Which that's what I love about it and everything. But nowadays in fighting games, it's just okay. They're playing this character, they're gonna do these things, and that's it. But no, when you're facing a Ryu, you gotta worry about hey, this Ryu is playing K groove, N groove. They might play this way and stuff. It's a whole so many different strategies, offensive and defensive. I like that. I love that aspect a lot. And I'm like, damn, this is I don't know. Was that game mainly just on an arcade machine, or was that actually on home console?
That was on console. That was on
It was on home console.
Dreamcast.
I missed that, man.
PS2.
It was on PS2 as well.
Well, SNK two
Mix-
was
mix
yeah.
box.
SNK two was
SNK2 was, yeah.
on GameCube, Dreamcast, and PS2. I believe Capcom vs. SNK one was only Dreamcast and arcade. I don't believe it was on PS2.
That sounds right.
Yeah, it's just like, man. Listen, I will try out Power Stone. I'm not just going to completely ignore Power Stone.
You
It's
Don't
gotta
act
just-
so
do it.
thrilled about it, Ash.
I'm just completely enamored on how they did the groove system
Watch
for the
next
fight, okay?
podcast. Ash is
You're
gonna
gonna
be
love
like,
it. It's very Ace Attorney coded, actually.
yeah.
You're just
Like
trying to
the
find ways-
style.
trying to get me to play
No,
the
I'm
game.
serious. Like the style, it's just very like cartoony and like the way it's kind of presented. It's kind of outrageous.
what's
and
funny?
It definitely has some bones there.
Now that you mentioned Ace Attorney, I think that Batsu from Project Justice is like Phaneckswhy's like dad or son, maybe. Because they look alike. Like if you look at Batsu and Phaneckswhy, they look similar. I'm like maybe he's his dad, and that's why Phaneckswhy decided to become a lawyer to take his dad out of jail from all the fights.
Is that what you're talking about?
What is it?
Bosses from Rivals?
Yeah, Rival Schools. Yeah, Project Justice is the second game, which I learned today.
I had to look this up.
Okay, so
Oh, that's
question
fake. I
is,
made that
when
up.
did
But
that
like I'll
game-
say, like they look alike. What's up?
The question is, when did that game come out?
Project Justice?
No, rival schools.
Like 97, 98 maybe.
Let's find out right now.
And if that's the case, maybe Phoenix Wright's design was actually based off of Batsu because his first game came out in 2001 on the Game Boy.
97.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
I'm the trivia lord.
At that point, it could have been a Phoenix Wright design. The Phoenix Wright design is probably based off of Batsu because remember his game came out in 2001 and he came out in 97.
Capcom vs. SNK did come out on the PlayStation, but it was PS1.
Oh
Really?
man,
Looking at it here,
I remember
an
the
arcade
the
game.
the, the
Oh, wow.
bastardized Marvel vs. Capcom that was on PlayStation 1 where the tag there was a special mode where you could tag people in and it was only the same character. So it was like you had like two Mega Man characters you could tag in Mega Man or whatever, and it was like a special mode you could tag, but like the regular game you couldn't tag like you couldn't in like the
Really?
standard Marvel vs. Capcom. It was annoying. Yeah,
Yeah, I remember that.
I was so disappointed when I bought it.
I remember my first experience of having like a two. It wasn't even it was like a 2-player versus 1 game. Was Street Fighter Alpha 3. They had that mode where you play as Ryu and Ken, and you fight like Akuma. It was kind of cool.
Oh yeah, I
like,
remember that.
yeah, it was
Yep.
2 players simultaneously playing as Ryu and Ken, and then you had to fight Akuma, who was like on super hard mode. That was pretty cool. I remember playing that with my brother.
I remember Alpha 3 was it was a big deal when it came out on PS1 because it was just such a good
Mhm.
port of the game.
Yeah, Alpha 2 was an amazing port. Also, like, because that came out on Super Nintendo and on PS1, and it was so much better on PS1 than Super Nintendo. Super
Sure.
Nintendo, when they go round 1 fight, there's like a huge pause before you
Huh.
actually start fighting, which is crazy.
'Cause the Super Nintendo has to put itself out of before it gets set on fire.
Yeah, pretty much. Where PS1 is just
Yeah.
round 1 fight and you start playing. Not
Go,
only that, the
yeah.
music wasn't as good, and the music wouldn't loop. It would like end and then start all over again. It was kind of bad. Um, so yeah, those were the good old days when they made a game for each console, a different game for each console, basically. Now it's just let's port this everywhere. More
It's the same thing
surprisingly,
largely.
I was watching before we end the stream today. I do want to mention this. I was watching Digital Foundry's thing on Hogwarts Legacy, and they talked about how there's 2 versions of Hogwarts Legacy. There's the Switch and PS4 version, and then there's the one that they made for PS5. And then they were comparing like the
Interesting.
Switch 2 version versus PS5, showing that they're still using the textures of what was on the PS4 and Switch version, but they just enhance everything. So it's not even the same PS5. Like if you look at some of the geometry, like some of the tables are different, some of the mappings different. And I guess in the PS4 version, there was a whole section of the game that was locked off that you couldn't even go. But in the Switch 2, that section is there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's like a modified version of what the Switch 1 had and the PS4 version had, but it's not the PS5 version, which is interesting.
I do have a bit of a side story too,
Mhm.
regarding like 2 like different versions of the game because when I was growing up with the N64,
Mhm.
I also love Spider-Man a lot, including the old Spider-Man on the VHS, man, love that stuff. But like
Mhm.
there
The
was
Neversoft game?
yeah, the Neversoft one,
That was
Spider-Man
such a good
64.
game.
To me, I just call it Spider-Man 64 because I'm like it made sense to me. And at the time, I didn't know there were other versions of Spider-Man of Neversoft Spider-Man. So when about a few years ago, when I was looking through random content was popping up about different versions of Spider-Man. I'm like, what? That's Spider-Man, really? And they showed the N64 version, the one I played. Then they showed the Dreamcast version. And then the best one, by the way. And then what was what was the third one? Maybe the PS1 version? I'm not too sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
this one
it came on
PS1.
PS1.
Yeah.
That's what it
Yeah.
originally came out on.
Yeah, and and it wasn't just a comparison. This dude went in like on details on each version of the game, and he was pointing out that in the Dreamcast version, it had like actual cutscenes to like
yeah.
more voices, and I'm like, what? I missed out on that. And once I went back and actually emulate that version. That Dreamcast version, man, it made me love the game so much more than I did as a kid because I love that game growing up. But like when I replay the Dreamcast version, listen, I don't care if people like roast about the graphics. That game still aged like fine wine. Like the
it's
jokes
great.
were that like it was just great. It's just god dang.
It was ahead of its time. I mean, it was
Yeah.
the best Spider-Man game probably until the PS4 game.
Venom was the best in that game, bro. Venom was the best in there. Man. It was crazy. Like, But yeah, a bit of a side thing because I know we're talking about different versions of the game.
Yeah.
I just want to throw out Neversoft Spider-Man because, and man, it's just I hope they do somehow do like maybe a remaster of the game. I don't know if they could. Is Neversoft
Yeah, I
still
don't know.
around?
Now that PlayStation the PlayStation Spider-Man came out, I think that game is kind of quaint. Not saying that it's bad, but it's like how do you compete with
Yeah.
what Spider-Man is now? You know.
Oh, I don't care.
Nethersoft, I
I
think,
don't
is
care.
now NetherRealm, who does Mortal Kombat. I believe they're the same company, right? If I'm not
I don't know.
mistaken. We'll see.
That makes sense. That makes sense if you
I'm
piece those two together.
sure. Let's see.
Maybe like a
Honestly,
superhero collection, and that game could be part of it. I could see that, but like a standalone release, I don't know about that.
right,
No, I lied.
I want to
Neversoft
miss.
became
Listen.
they're part of Activision. Oh
Well,
yeah,
Oh,
Activision,
because
I
I
they
think
see.
did
published.
they did Tony
Activision
Hawk
published the
Pro
original
Skater.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, Tony Hawk Pro Skater. They also did. They did
Yeah,
Spider-Man,
explains a lot.
Guitar Hero.
Explains a lot why the Spider-Man game was really good. So like,
Also,
you
Spider-Man
know,
was in Tony Hawk too.
yeah, I remember.
Yeah, the last thing they did, actually they worked on, was Advanced Warfare. Yeah, they
Yeah,
they
I know. I
helped
know Activision's
co-develop.
still around,
Oh, they merged. So it looks like here they merged with Infinity Ward. So Neversoft is now Infinity Ward. Call of Duty. They're just a Call of Duty machine now.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I want them to really just do like a remaster of the game. I mean, I'm not expecting this to compete with Experiment today. It's this release is more like for people that just love playing the game growing up and stuff. And I think it's yeah, I have to hate to admit it's probably more nostalgia than ever because you just have to be there and play the game growing up compared to others and stuff. You know, I think that's what it is. So
Yeah. All right. Well, that is everything that we have for today. Appreciate everybody for joining us. As always, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Follow over on Twitch. We will be back tomorrow. We being me and Brian, to finish up Split Fiction.
Hopefully, finish it.
Yeah, hopefully finish it, which I think so. I think we're at the end there, so
Have to
we're
be.
likely finish it. If not, then I guess we'll have another week of that. But yeah, and then 2 weeks from now we have the Switch 2. I'm so excited for that. We'll have a lot of stuff to talk about when it comes to the Switch 2 release on the podcast, as well as I'll be doing a 12-hour stream that day too, so you can always hang out with me that whole day as we play the Switch 2. Yeah, Brian, where can I catch you at?
At Red So Deep on Blue Sky.
What about you, fan?
You can catch me at Phaneckswhy at all the socials.
What about you, Ash?
at Stream on YouTube.
Awesome. And as always, you can catch me right here at the Random Encounter. You can catch me tomorrow. Be there tomorrow. And then next week, of course, we'll continue with solo stream, where probably I don't think I need to test out my GPU anymore. I think I have the verdict of what I feel about when it comes to this GPU. So I'll probably play something else. Maybe continue my Fire Emblem Engage stuff, which I was hoping to kind of like have been at the end of Fire Emblem Engage, but having to test out the GPU kind of threw me off there. So we'll see. Maybe I'll do some Capcom Fighting Collection 2 or something.
Or some
We'll see
Final
what I have
Fantasy
to say.
16. Finish that up.
I could finish that up, right? I was streaming that. I was having fun doing it. I got to tell you this, like before we end it, Final Fantasy 16, playing it at 4K at high settings looked
Beautiful.
amazing. Looked
Yeah.
gorgeous. Definitely better than anything that PS5 could put out. I just couldn't play it at 4K because the minute I did 4K, that's it. Encoder overload. When I did the Phoenix, what's that ability?
Like Rising or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's Phoenix Rise, where it does like all those particle effects. The minute I do that, that's it. I saw on the OBS encoder overload. So it's like, dang it. But I could play at 1440p and it stood around like 90 percent utilization on the GPU. So it wasn't that bad. But that was like my only issue when it comes to that. So I'm sure if I had a 5070 Ti, I wouldn't have that issue at all. So anyways, thanks for watching. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Ash. Thank you, fan. My name is James. I'll catch you guys next time.